Today on Locked On Rockies, our Reviewing the Rockies series continues with one of the most exciting but also most frustrating players on the Colorado Rockies roster, Ryan McMahon. He's really good in the field. He has great potential and great moments at the dish, but strikes out a ton. Are we still waiting for a breakout?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 9th day of November in the year 2023. I'm the host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here, is talk Rockies baseball all throughout the offseason, all on your favorite streaming services, where you can also find the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. I guess, yeah, technically, in a way, it's linked together through stuff in the description, but you can also find us on YouTube. Of course, on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show by firing off your Rockies hot takes and comments in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comments section. Today on the Locked On Rockies podcast, our Reviewing the Rockies series continues with Ryan McMahon, and we're going to dive into what's kind of the same old song and dance for Ryan McMahon at this point. I mean, it's really the same type of recap and review, with the upside of the defense was better this year than the defense was and that. But when you really are reviewing and looking at Ryan McMahon and going over his season, you basically got a carbon copy with a little bit of decrease in some areas, but maybe an increase in others. Most notably, an increase in one of the worst categories for the Rockies, the strikeout. Let's dive into the complicated case of Ryan McMahon on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50+ infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. All right, here we go. And this one's a tough one. This one's a really tough one, because you look at Ryan McMahon overall, you look at the line, you raise your eyebrows. Ryan McMahon is that classic gif of that lady, you know, where it's like, and then like, whoa, that's interesting. That just seems to be the entire case of Ryan McMahon. And the question becomes, how much patience do you have with Ryan McMahon? I personally think that Ryan McMahon factors in to be a key piece for this Rockies team for a bit. I think the Ryan McMahon is a big reason why the Arenado trade happened, and the Rockies offering and giving him the extension. Ryan McMahon has played good baseball. Ryan McMahon is a good baseball player. But I don't, unless we see a big step, which we still could. I mean, 29 next year. He's still plenty much in his prime. He stayed relatively healthy throughout the time. I mean, he played in 152 games this year. So Ryan McMahon's in the lineup just about every day for the Rockies. And there's frustrating thing. The problem, especially with Ryan McMahon, at least especially in 2023, and it's happened before, it was just in the big moments where it was just screaming, this is the moment that Ryan McMahon breaks the curse. Ryan McMahon sets himself up for a career-building year in a lost season, where he's finally stepping up in big moments for the Rockies and helping them. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And Ryan McMahon struck out nearly 200 times. 198 strikeouts, a career high for Ryan McMahon, a career high by 38 this year. And that's a massive problem. Ryan McMahon has always struck out a lot, but was able to cut the strikeouts down in 2021 by 13. But now back-to-back years of not only an increase, but a significant one, 11 strikeout increase, basically going right back to that 160. So going backwards on all the progress there. And then going into this year, 198 strikeouts, while also seeing a dip in batting average, in OBP, but a rise in slugging and OPS slightly. But those are concerning trends for a guy like Ryan McMahon. We know Ryan McMahon can hit the heck out of the ball. Ryan McMahon has to hit the ball in order to do that, though. And at this point and at this stage, the moment is still now for Ryan McMahon, but it has been Ryan McMahon's time for like 3 years now. And 2024 needs to be something where we see the adjustment. The best thing that we can see from Ryan McMahon is the strikeout rate going down and him trending downwards throughout the entire season. A better, more disciplined approach at the dish, and an approach that gets him able to barrel things up, because when Ryan McMahon does hit the ball, we know good things happen. We know what he's capable of. And when you look at his advanced batting stats, everything is over average here except for whiff and strikeout percentage. When you whiff at a 32% rate, when you're missing the ball a third of the time, that's a massive problem, especially with the Rockies' aggression and habit of going down on 3 pitches. In key situations, the Rockies cannot afford to have Ryan McMahon come up and down on 3 strikes. We saw that in multiple times. We saw some at-bats get extended, but too often have we waited for Ryan McMahon or expected Ryan McMahon to be the hero offensively, and he hasn't been able to do so. He has the capability. We know that he's capable of doing so. We know that Ryan McMahon has strong hitting abilities. He might not be as dominant or as big of an offensive threat as Nolan Arenado, but he is someone that's got power. He is someone that is able to drive in runs. But unfortunately, we're seeing steps back for McMahon. Did tie a second career best in home runs in 23 this year, which were massive. I believe he led the team in home runs this year at 23. But at this stage, and kind of what we're expected and what we think of and what we hear of with Ryan McMahon, where's the big step? Is that big step coming? Or is this it? And, again, if by saying, is this it, undervalues the fact that Ryan McMahon is a good baseball player, is a solid baseball player, above average WAR player, double-digit WAR for his career, a guy that is tremendous in the field, a guy that's hit 100 home runs, a guy that's driven in 350 people. 350 people, that's a weird way to say that. Just under 600 hits. So that's what I'm saying while we're evaluating 2023, it feels like we're evaluating 2022. Because back when we're really comparing and when we're really looking for Ryan McMahon for that flash and that line, that would be great if the Rockies got this line, and especially maybe an even improvement, would be from 2021. 86 RBI, 254 batting average, 331 OBP, a slugging of 449, and an OPS of 779. Almost all of those are career highs or close. So what's happened? Similar amount of at bats, about a little under 30 more at bats this year for Ryan McMahon. But again, we're seeing an increase of 40 strikeouts from 2022, an increase of 50 strikeouts from 2021. What is happening with Ryan McMahon's preparation right now that the strikeout, how are the Rockies helping Ryan McMahon see and attack pitchers? I know that pitchers are at the best level that they've ever been, but Ryan McMahon struggles with strikeouts more than the average player. He was in the bottom 7% of the league in strikeout percentage. Struck out at a 31.6% rate this year. That's a career high in a full season by a long shot. 34.2% strikeout rate, technically career high if you're going. Actually, no, I'm sorry. In 2018, but that was how many plate appearances did he get? He did not play that much in 2018. Or has it been that long with Ryan McMahon? Regardless, getting caught up in the minutia of things. Basically, a career high or close to a career high in strikeout percentage, off by 0.1%. That's a problem. Just like we've highlighted all this week, the continual theme has been, how are the Rockies going to help these players get better? Because Ryan McMahon needs to change to go back to 2021 to make an adjustment, because there wasn't an adjustment made in the season last year. Let's keep our talking about our Rockies in review series, Ryan McMahon edition here, coming up in segment number 2. Don't want to rehash kind of the same stuff that we've said in the other ones, but the similar thread continues here with Ryan McMahon. Let's dive into that here in segment number 2. But before we do that, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Jase Medical. We spend a lot of time talking together, you and I, and we get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. And today, I want to talk about something a little more different. Whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event, or limited by yet another supply shortage, you are covered. Thanks to our partners at Jase Medical. Life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply. Even ED generics like for Cialis, Viagra, or Revitio prescriptions. Go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. Verified customer had this to say about Jase: I am thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut pills in half to have it. I ordered most of my daily meds with a year's supply. I also ordered an antibiotic kit. I feel secure now. Prices are lower than my local pharmacy. I highly recommend this for everyone. If you or someone that you love would love to get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot. That's what we do right here, is talk Rockies baseball on your favorite streaming service and on the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show by subscribing, helping the show grow. Really do appreciate when you tune in and subscribe, and we appreciate you making us your first listen of the day. Shout outs to my everydayers out there for tuning in here throughout the off season. It's a busy time in Colorado sports, and if you got enough time for some Rockies baseball talk in your day, I really do appreciate it, because there's lots going on in the world of Colorado sports. And the Locked On Podcast Network's got you covered there. Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffalo's coverage all here. And we're here too. Locked On Rockies. We're reviewing Ryan McMahon today. And again, it's like, I feel like that first segment is just the same type of stuff we've talked about Ryan McMahon a million times over again. But so now the question again that connects with, just like Kyle Freeland, just like Austin Gomber, what now? What's the development? What's the step forward? How is this team helping these players get better? Because they have trends about them that are negative and are really impacting the Rockies. The Rockies certainly counted on Ryan McMahon being a bigger threat on offense. Absolutely. Absolutely. The Rockies are certainly considered Ryan McMahon to be a bigger threat on offense than he has been. And but he struck out 40 more times, 30 more times compared to the other seasons. So what's going on there? Was it new hit the first year under a new hitting coach, and the approach and the look was different? What was it? A change in stance? Was it the dominant pitching staffs of who the teams played? What have you? How are you helping Ryan McMahon get better? And do we believe that this team can help Ryan McMahon get better? Because this next season, the Rockies might lose a lot of games, but we need to see improvement and steps forward in the right direction from a lot of players, and it needs to be headlined by Ryan McMahon. He can lead in home runs and stuff, and he can continue to be elite in defense, but Ryan McMahon cannot be in the bottom 7% of the league in strikeout percentage. Ryan McMahon cannot continue to strike out at a 31.6% rate. He is too critical for the Rockies. He is too important for the Rockies. He needs to be someone that can get on base more and be more effective on making contact and just hitting the ball. Because if he can take the step forward on offense, he's going to feel more confident as a defender, and he's going to be even more elite in the field, and he's going to be the player that the Rockies desperately need. Ryan McMahon needs to hit 25 plus home runs for the Rockies next year. Ryan McMahon needs to hit for multiple bases. Ryan McMahon needs to get on base. Not because he's an elite base runner, just because he needs to be this guy. He needs to be the anchor that the Rockies view him as. And again, every advanced metric for Ryan McMahon's batting profile on Baseball Savant is above average, except for batting average, whiff, and strikeout percentage. So when he doesn't hit for average and he's missing and striking out a lot, we can't take advantage of the fact that when he barrels it up, he's really good at barreling the ball up, and he hits the ball really hard. That's the type of stuff the Rockies need to help, and they need to help him be better prepared instead of going up in situations where Ryan McMahon just looked outclassed and outnumbered by the pitcher. And it wasn't just Ryan McMahon. The Rockies as an offense in general for the majority of 2020, really everybody at certain points, and some people had moments. Nolan Jones, probably your exception there, of course. But there were moments where it just seemed like the Rockies we're seeing something completely different. We're guessing every time. We're blown away or dominated by other pitching staffs. So again, the question goes back to, is it just on Ryan McMahon, or is it deeper than that? And I think the obvious answer there is it's deeper than that. This team isn't helping its players get in the best position to win. And it's evident by the negative trends of players that have been on this team for multiple years. Headlined by the fact that Ryan McMahon has never broken out. If Ryan McMahon hits above 250 for the Rockies next year, that will be massive. If Ryan McMahon is the offensive leader that we think and believe that he can be, and the Rockies believe, it will be a game changer for the Rockies. But it needs to be consistent. And this team needs to help make Ryan McMahon consistent. And again, I am not confident. Because in reality, the Rockies are going to trot out a similar coaching staff, a similar roster. And I really do wonder how much is going to change, and how much of an approach will and how much the approach to the game will change going into next season. Because we're overdue. We're overdue for the breakout Ryan McMahon season. And we cannot continue. Ryan McMahon cannot be striking out 200 times. When one of your best offensive threats, when one of your biggest home run threats can't take advantage of Coors Field because he's not hitting the ball, that's a massive problem. Because that's the main focus with Ryan McMahon. There's nothing to say about the defense. He's great. He's elite. He's a Gold Glover. Should be. That's where he gets, that's where the money is. But it's a regression from 2021 to 2022. It's a slight regression from 2022 into 2023. Why is Ryan McMahon going down at this stage of his career, the prime of his career, instead of up? Is Ryan McMahon capable of a 5-win WAR season? The potential's certainly still there, but do we believe that big step, do we believe that Ryan McMahon can not only halt the reversing trends, but take the step forward? It remains to be seen. I don't think it's impossible. I, again, want to point out and reiterate that I think that Ryan McMahon is a good player. But can he take the step to great? And can the Rockies help him? This is the year, 2024 is the year to prove it, because it has been back-to-back years where he has not been able to recreate his best season. And consistency has always been a factor when it comes to Ryan McMahon. So, given all this, is Ryan McMahon still going to be the third baseman of the Rockies for the future? We'll talk about that coming up in segment number 3. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Bringing you Rockies talk on the Locked On Podcast YouTube, Rockies podcast YouTube channel, I should say. You can find all the videos over there. You can be part of the show by subscribing, leaving a comment. Let me know what you think about the Rockies. Let me know what's on your mind about the Colorado Rockies and what you think about Ryan McMahon. So do the Rockies trade Ryan McMahon? I don't think so. I don't think that the Rockies want to trade Ryan McMahon. I don't think the Rockies want to move on from McMahon, because I don't know if they would be willing to do so and kind of admit admit that they want to go in a different direction. They've never indicated that. Is this you need to, it would be a deadline deal, of course. Like I don't see any sort of Ryan McMahon trade happening in the off season. I don't think, especially after last season, I don't think that the interest that the Rockies would hope to get in a deal for Ryan McMahon would be high enough. They would I would imagine if there's anything that would move the needle for the Rockies, it would have to come at the deadline and after a solid first half of the season for him. I think the Rockies do believe that they can get more out of Ryan McMahon, and they continue to hold him in high regard. I mean, it is, as you look at this though, one of the best things that the Rockies have gotten from Ryan McMahon, even in these years where we've seen steps back and regression in areas, 150 ball games in 3 straight seasons. That's crucial. That is critical for the Rockies. And the fact that he was able to, that you knew that him being able to flip to second base when they were going the Montero route. I mean, McMahon is an incredibly valuable baseball player and is a joy to watch. We just can't sit here and ignore the elephant in the room when it comes to Rymac. The potential's there. The upside's there. Just reaching it and sticking with it for a whole season, a whole 2 weeks, consistency is going to be key for him. And I just don't think the Rockies want to I don't think the Rockies want to make third base not a safe haven for not led by an elite defender. I think that they really like what they have there. They've already got the deal done. And I think it would be more likely that the Rockies would move Rogers, given the contract situations and given prospect situations, who you can call up and who can fill in for him. Because we know the Rockies take a big step backwards on defensively at third base when Ryan McMahon is not over there. Because there's no doubt about it that Ryan McMahon is one of the best in the business at defense and one of the best defensive third basemen. So while I remain hopeful for Ryan McMahon, I cannot sit here and say that I'm not at least a little skeptical. And when I say skeptical, it means that I think maybe we potentially have seen the ceiling of Ryan McMahon. And if it is, it's a bummer, but it's not awful. I just want to see, it's just, man, there's just so many, especially when in the spots that he hits in too, and in the spots in the lineup that he finds himself. There's just too many times. There was too many times in 2023 where we were looking for Ryan McMahon to come up big, and he just unfortunately wasn't able to do so. But I'm a sucker for some good defense. I think that there's a reason to like Ryan McMahon. There's a reason to be hopeful in Ryan McMahon. I think he can play a solid role, especially now if Nolan Jones is going to kind of take on the big heavy hitter, the main attraction of the offense. I think that actually could be a benefit for Ryan McMahon as well. Take maybe a little bit of pressure off of him and allow him to get a little bit more comfortable comfortable with his role in the lineup. But we'll see. I mean, it was a season again of ups and downs. I mean, he had a great June, but then it's like he just falls off. A great June and a solid May as well, but improving throughout the early part of the season before just kind of a big cool off period there for the in the back half of the season. We saw a little bit. It just that's the most frustrating stuff. It's just like, wow. In June, we got Ryan McMahon here batting 303, 384, 495 in that month. In that month, he still struck out 33 times, but he was able to bring in 10 RBI, 4 home run in that month, racking up 30 hits in that time. Let's see, how many walks did he have as well? 12 walks. That's the Ryan McMahon that we know exists. Playing the and there's a stint against the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants in there, and taking advantage of worse teams, Kansas City and Boston and Cincinnati and the Angels. That's a good little sample size there of the potential that Ryan McMahon has against the pitching in this league. So all in all, kind of a same old song and dance for Ryan McMahon. And I really hope that this year is the breakout year that we've all been waiting for with Ryan McMahon. But if this is it, I'm not going to sit here and completely poo it, because Ryan McMahon does play good baseball. Just a bummer we haven't seen him play a great season. Well, I'll give him 2021. A great season since 2021. And we'll see if he can do it coming up here in 2024 for the Rockies, because they're going to need him. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. You can also find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show by firing up your Rockies hot takes in the comment section. Your subscription to the Locked On Rockies podcast is the easiest way to help the show grow. Really, really do appreciate that, folks. And for your second listen, you can check out Locked On MLB, or like I said, if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs podcast got you covered. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.